Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we dive into one of those South African stories that makes you shake your head and wonder whether we are living in reality or in a badly written crime series. It is tragic, shocking, and yet filled with so many unanswered questions that the public is left with more suspicion than clarity. The story concerns the late Thapelo Modise, a young man from Soweto whose life ended under mysterious and deeply troubling circumstances inside the Dobsonville Police Station. Officially, the police claim that Thapelo shot himself while in custody. But when you hear the details, you will quickly understand why his family, and many South Africans, are demanding a thorough investigation. So let's unpack this carefully. Thapelo Modise was not just any young man. He was a bodyguard for the ANC Secretary-General, Fikile Mbalula. Yes, that Mbalula, the man who often trends on social media for his sharp tongue and controversial soundbites. Being his protector meant Thapelo was trusted with responsibility, discipline, and firearms. But last Friday night, Thapelo's life took a sudden and fatal turn. According to IPID, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, Thapelo was stopped at a JMPD roadblock around 10 p.m. in Dobsonville. Officers suspected him of driving under the influence, so they arrested him and took him to the Dobsonville Police Station. The procedure from there is straightforward: the suspect is booked, searched, and then taken for a blood alcohol test. Nothing unusual. But this is where the story becomes puzzling. The official version says that while waiting for a nurse to draw his blood sample, Thapelo requested to speak to a senior officer, Colonel Moagi. During that conversation, he apparently revealed his position as Mbalula's bodyguard. Shortly afterward, still in custody and surrounded by officers and other suspects, he allegedly produced a firearm and shot himself in the head. Now, if you are already frowning in disbelief, you are not alone. His mother, Susan Modise, has openly questioned the police narrative. Her first question is simple: how on earth did her son manage to keep a firearm on him after being arrested? Police officers are trained to search suspects before putting them in a van. It's standard procedure. Yet somehow, Thapelo allegedly walked into a police station, sat in a holding area, and still had his gun. The family's doubts deepened after they saw his body. Susan recalls that his face was swollen, his body covered with bruises, and the gunshot wound was at the back of his head. She described how he was seated almost as if he had simply fallen asleep, but with blood and brain matter scattered across the floor. That description does not sound like the neat picture of a straightforward suicide. And here is where the story takes on a more disturbing layer. If Thapelo did indeed have a firearm, why was he not searched? Was this gross negligence by officers, or was there something more sinister? And if he did not, then whose gun was it? For the Modise family, Thapelo was their beacon of hope. They believed he had a future of stability and purpose. To lose him in such a brutal and unexplained manner has left them broken. His mother says the trauma is so deep that they cannot rest until they have the truth, not just from the police, but also from the nurse who was reportedly present in that room when the shooting happened. This is not the first time South Africans have heard of questionable deaths in police custody. Across the country, there have been repeated complaints about brutality, negligence, and cover-ups. Every time such a story surfaces, the promise is the same: IPID will investigate. But ask ordinary citizens whether they trust those investigations, and the answer is usually a sarcastic laugh. Adding to the weight of this case is the political connection. Thapelo was not an unknown figure. As Mbalula's bodyguard, his death carries political implications. Did someone target him? Did he know something that others did not want revealed? Or is this genuinely a tragic case of a young man under pressure who chose to take his own life? We cannot ignore the fact that his alleged suicide came right after he identified himself to Colonel Moagi. Was this a coincidence? Or was he perhaps hoping that his political connections might change the way he was treated? These are the uncomfortable questions that South Africans are now asking. And let's add some bitter humor here. If police can allow a suspect to stroll into a station carrying a firearm, then maybe criminals have been wasting their time smuggling weapons into prisons. Just walk in, it seems the police won't notice. But of course, jokes aside, this is a deeply alarming reflection of either incompetence or something darker. The Modise family is now relying on IPID to provide answers. But we all know how slowly the wheels of accountability turn. Statements will be taken, reports will be filed, and months later a watered-down version of events might be released. Meanwhile, a grieving family is left to wonder if their son was failed by the very system that was supposed to protect him. This case also raises the broader issue of how ordinary citizens are treated inside police stations. If the bodyguard of one of the most powerful politicians in the ANC can die under such questionable circumstances, what hope is there for an unemployed youth arrested for a petty offense? South Africa is at a crossroads with its policing system. Communities are losing trust in the very people meant to uphold law and order. Every mysterious death, every report of torture or brutality chips away at that trust. And when police officers appear more like suspects than protectors, the consequences for society are dangerous. So here we are again, watching another family mourn, listening to official explanations that sound thinner than a 2 rand coin, and waiting for investigations that may never satisfy anyone. What really happened to Thapelo Modise? Was this negligence, foul play, or suicide under immense pressure? Until the truth emerges, suspicion will remain. That brings us to you, our viewers. What do you think? Was this a case of incompetence by police, or do you believe there's more to this story than meets the eye? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this breakdown insightful, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more in-depth political and social commentary, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our updates. Thank you for watching, and remember, in South Africa, the truth often takes the scenic route. See you next time.